Greetings and welcome. Thank you for tuning in to RP MMO Radio. This is our 10th episode. You're an animal. You're an animal, Rock. I'll be one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, of course, as always, is Sib.
Hello.
And Jazz.
Hello.
And today we got a special show. We're going to actually be doing a interview and crossover with RPHQ.com and TheHumanFloyd. Also not to be confused with the Cyborg Floyd or the non-human Floyd or any other sort of Floyds. This is the only human one allowed. If your name is Floyd, unless you add an extra D, get out. You're out of here. You're out. So, well, we appreciate you. It's kind of a milestone episode in that we go from a single digit to 2. It's a milestone to every other podcast, so it feels like I should just follow suit as a...
Should we be cheering?
And the villagers rejoiced. Yay.
Yay!
So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're going to have interesting topic today about RPing animal or beast races in MMOs. That's what we got the TheHumanFloyd on for, and we've never really done that ourselves. I don't know if anybody else has, but we'll go a little bit more into that later on. So we're going to do what we've been doing. I know for me and Sib, we had a death in the family, and we've been gone since last Monday up until yesterday, and then today we had to put our poor kitty down after 15 years because she was 15 years old, and that's what happens to a cat, unfortunately. It was very sad, but she wasn't in too much pain there at the end, and she went nice and quiet. So
she purred all the way to the
end. Cat would purr at everything. Look at her wrong.
She was just a love bug.
Yeah, she would drape her. She was like, you see those fox scarves that like rich women wear. Yeah, our daughter could wear our cat like that, like just around the house. The cat was totally cool with it as long as she was touching someone. So it's been a bummer of a day, but we're glad to be here doing this. Hopefully. We'll have a lot less animal death when we're talking about playing as one. A Khajiit, yes. And any other Argonians and... I forget, what were the EQ ones called? I know there was the... The Karens, that's right. Yeah, the lesser of the two. The Sharval or whatever. The ones from EQ1 were way better.
I can't even think about it, but yeah.
Yeah, but they were better anyway. Karens were sucky. So anyway, we'll go over what it's been 2 weeks. We've only been gone for one, so at least got something. Jazz, you've been here the whole time, so this is pretty much entirely on your shoulders. No pressure.
Go, Jazz, go.
What have you been doing?
Oh, God. Life.
What? Oh, man.
Things have been very, very hectic at home. And finances have been very tight. So I have been really kind of stressed out and doing my own thing. I haven't had much chance to roleplay, but I have been working hard on ESO's dungeon content. So,
which is funny for you because you are like the least dungeon-y person I've ever...
I know.
Other than me, you're like the least dungeon-y person I know.
ESO is the first MMO I've ever played where instances don't feel like instances most of the time.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I don't. It doesn't bother me. I was like, nope, not going to do it, and then started doing it just because I had made a healer and they needed me, and I found out that it was kind of fun.
Yeah. In fact, you're missing a raid right now.
No, they rescheduled it.
But you would have been if they hadn't rescheduled it.
Yes.
That's the point. We know who's more important. So, well, it happens, real life like that. It's what you get. It's really your fault. I mean, when you decided to live in Freeport under the rule and thumb of Lucandelier, you knew things were going to get tight. So that's really your own. You got no one to blame but yourself. I didn't vote for him personally, but then again, nobody did. When some watery tart starts throwing swords out of the middle of a lake, it's no basis for a government. So, what about you, Sib? Sorry, Monty Python again. It's gonna happen a lot. You remember doing anything for we had to bail out to California?
I'm thinking. I know I've been really spotty with playing even because
Yeah,
I have
before that you
baseball.
had baseball stuff. That's all right.
Yeah, baseball, and then I do think I RP'd with one of the people in the guild though.
Yeah, it was.
Ever.
What was his
Yeah.
face?
I'm
Yeah.
thinking Talon.
Talon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
And
you're
he
at a
was-
bar.
It was really fun because we just kind of sat there and yacked, and then we started playing a game of like we'd look at somebody and
Yeah.
be like, what do you think their story is? And we would come up with stories about the people in the bar. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, which is
That's about all I've been able to RP though.
which is even more funny when you're in a place where literally every story there is actually made up.
I know, it was fun. It was kind of a neat little RP thing.
Yeah,
But I had a fun with it. I hope he did too.
you had a fun with it. It's a
I
me,
had
I'm
a fun
Mario.
with it.
But yeah, I let's see, my character Tarvala, she got 5 lashes, because she didn't know when she was back talking someone that they were a higher rank because they weren't in armor like they should have been. So, and they were being really critical of everything that everyone was doing. She's like, "Why don't instead of being critical, why don't you help?" So she got beaten for that, but so did a couple others. This is just the way it went. Dark elves. But no, it's been fun. Fought a necromancer. Yeah, beat that. That was fun. That was a roleplay thing that they did. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been, like you said, been very light. Been a slow week. So with that, I guess we'll just jump on into the news and get that done with. I am, let me see here, clicking on things here that I should have already had up. So this is mostly just me talking to fill the space. There we go. So, kind of a big deal, actually, at least for a lot of people. And I never played the game itself, but almost everybody has at one point or another. And that's the Magic the Gathering, which apparently is going to be now an MMO. Courtesy of Cryptic Studios and Perfect World. And if I remember it right, Cryptic Studios, they've done several others. I know Star Trek is among them. And what was the other? Neverwinter Nights. And
Yeah.
so both of them actually pretty big. I'm not so sure on Star Trek. I know it's got a pretty decent fan base. I mean, it's kind of like a Star Wars game. You put, Star and then Trek or Wars after it, and you're going to have a following. But Neverwinter has actually done pretty well too, especially since it's on PC and both consoles. But they know their stuff, so it could be very, very interesting. They don't really have what it will be about, other than it's going to have a lot of, I guess for a card game, there's a ton of lore in that card game, and there's lots of, the locations from the cards and things like that I'm sure will be brought to life. But yeah, they're building it from the ground up, supposed to have stunning visuals and sound that will be as we bring magic to life in the next generation of MMORPGs. So, and as apparently Jazz, you'll like this. As a planeswalker, you explore amazing worlds. It actually will have planeswalkers.
I know, right? That's really
How many of the people that we have roleplayed with will be like, I get to actually do that now instead of just, making it up. But
Yeah,
no, it's kind of a cool thing. I mean, it's one of the largest card games out there. I mean, I remember that from before I was in high school. It's been around forever. So, and who was that? There was a person I got to know. Her father was the through an MMO.
Zavine.
Yeah,
Zavine.
was it Zavine? Yeah.
Yeah.
That her father actually was the one that did the paintings for several of the cards, and one of them was the Black Lotus, which is the most expensive card still to this day when it gets sold. Like, it goes for thousands of dollars. But he painted a lot. He passed away probably a couple years ago now, and I was planning on bringing it up, but he had a really good reception from the community. They were really cool about when he passed and posting up times that they'd gotten to meet him and different artworks that he had done for the card set. But yeah, that'll be definitely something to keep your eye on. They're doing it as a AAA, so those role players out there, if you've always liked those card games, or a lot of people, they touched on it when they were teenagers and lower 20s and moved on since then, but there's always that nostalgia factor, and it's going to be probably, if they're just now announcing it, sit tight 2 or 3 years from now. Probably will come out probably around 2020. So, but that should be interesting. Kind of looking forward to that. And then, what you got, Sib?
Mine is from Massively Overpowered, and it's all Secret World players can get into the Secret World Legends beta as of today, which is June 9th. And the article was done by Justin Olivetti. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. Basically, they're saying that they're letting everyone, if you have a, good standing, account, then they'll let you go into the Secret World Legends early, and they're supposed to be sending out announcements if you get the invite, and the good standing basically is if you had your account active for the last 30 days, and the non-disclosure
NDA, yeah.
Yeah, is in effect, and of course all beta characters will be wiped before the launch. So
as always.
Yeah, it's just, I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
That, they were letting people come in early.
Yeah, that'll be one to kind of see what they've done with it, because I know there was a pretty good roleplay community in there as well before it switched over. So it'll be interesting to see if they can continue on with that or not, how that works out.
I picked it because I know we played it for a while, and it was a neat game.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't quite my cup of tea. I tried it. I would have played it if you kept playing.
Yeah.
We just kind of floated away from it, and then
combat was real clunky, which is supposedly one of the things they're fixing in it and changing around. But the content itself was really cool and really unique for MMOs. So it'll be interesting to hit that up again, to give it a try and see what they've done, if anything.
Yeah. So that's why I picked it. That article. I know something about it, and I am curious to see how the turn out in the end.
Yeah. Jez, did you have anything extra that wasn't on here?
I really didn't get. I spent like 4 days looking for something. You both hit on the two things that I had seen.
I
had them sitting here on my browser, and as you started talking,
if it's not in the show notes, it's free game.
Yeah, I know, it's my own fault.
Article stillers.
But the only other thing that I've really kind of been pulling up lately is Pantheon again.
Keep an eye on that.
Just keeping an eye on that, because I keep having this vain hope that they're gonna be RP friendly. I really like the way the characters look, at least the artist rendition so far, and I really like the overall premise of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if done right, I think would be a great RP environment. I'm not hopeful though.
I'm smelling a lot of if coming off of this plan.
Well, one of the main developers is like, RPs for losers. We're not focusing on that. So, I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to go that way. But I still keep an eye on it because
there's always hope. Well, it's
it
not like we've not
cool.
played MMOs that are completely roleplay friendly and done just fine in them.
Oh yeah,
so.
I mean, everyone said AOC wasn't going to be anything but a sex fest in PvP.
They were mostly right.
They were mostly right, but I did some of my best RP I've ever had outside of EQ was
through there. Yeah, it definitely had its things.
It was the most intense experience, and I learned how to PvP there. I was in the RP PvP server, so I had post-traumatic stress disorder from harvesting. But
What are you doing? What are you doing? This is my node.
I know, right? I mean, in that game, if you wanted to harvest, I had to lay down my AoEs and then harvest.
So it would interrupt them from interrupting you. Yeah.
Yeah, it would interrupt them before they could get to me. And it's like when I went back to EQ after my break, I was twitch. Every time I started harvesting, I twitch because I was like,
Your camera's rotating around your character. Like, what's that?
I did. That's exactly what I did.
Yep.
Is I would rotate my camera, and I'm like, "What am I doing? There's no PvP here." But I had gotten so used to doing the, head on a swivel thing.
Yeah. What are you doing, orc? Orc. You better watch out, orc. Orc. Oh wait, you're just an orc. Yeah.
So I'm not against it, but I just got to the point with PvP where it was just a bully fest, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, which is
unless
what
you have
most
a lot of friends,
PvP devolves into if you don't get into it super. If you're not super serial about it.
Yeah. So
super serial.
I know that's what really. We played Aeon for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what turned me off on Aeon. When you got to a certain level and had to go to certain zones, the PvP kicked in, and I hated it because I'd be going along just fine, and all of a sudden I'd just get killed, and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me!"
All I want to do is walk.
Yeah, I just want to fly through this zone. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that happen a lot in Tor. I would wander. Somehow I had turned off my warning that you were entering a PvP and hadn't realized it initially.
No.
So I thought the game was bugged and it kept putting me in PvP zones. No, my stupid butt was wandering into these places and I didn't have my warnings up.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was a game reset or something and it reset everything for me. No, it got corrupted and I had to reinstall. And I reinstalled the game finally, and I was playing and I was in a zone I had been in before. And I had said, some PvPer was able to kill me. He wasn't even in a PvP zone yet. No, when I was wandering over there harvesting, and I was like, in 10, 9, 8.
Yeah,
like,
the countdown.
And I could see them inching away in the darkness toward me. And I was like, oh my God, run.
I know. I remember that countdown, and I'd go and be like, "Oh crap!" and I'd take off running in the other direction.
Run away!
Yeah.
Man, you role players are a bunch of pansies.
That's right.
I do not appreciate being jumped by someone 8 levels higher than me that I don't have a
No.
prayer of killing.
Yeah, that was
I don't
crap.
really see. That's why I think this game, I could see how it might actually be fun. And I've been thinking about trying Serial because everybody's kind of on the same level regardless.
Yeah, it definitely, you get some advantages, but yeah, Elder Scrolls seems to do it pretty well. I'm sure once we get in the nitty gritty of it, when any of us actually jump into it, we'll be like, all right, well, this part sucks and this part sucks, but until then, seems okay.
Yeah.
As a completely layman's, reasoning, sure, why not? Seems all right. But
yeah, I think that it would be, because I don't PvP badly. Once I learned how in EQ in our dueling, constant.
They're basically just twitchier mobs. I mean, it's just another person.
So I know Triton was absolutely insistent that everyone in our guild learn to PvP. As you remember, we would all have these. We would have these big matches where everybody would have to go against each other.
/duel.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I wish more games would introduce, really. I don't know why that's not a thing.
That was fun. Yeah, it was nice. It was fun because we could just sit around and do it.
Yeah, it's friendly conversation.
My character usually ended up dead in 30 seconds, but it was fun.
Played an assassin, yeah. It's hard to sneak up and use all your best moves when you're staring right at someone when the fight starts.
There's just no way. They'd be like, just stun me. Yeah, don't you have like 6 anti-stuns? Well, yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, but after I've used all those and you're dead, stun me.
Yeah, my problem was I always play a healer, so
yeah,
I could make the fight last forever, but eventually, yes, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated that. Yeah.
Well, boy, do we wander off topic. So.
Yeah, it's all right. But so we'll go ahead. We're gonna, like I said, we didn't have a whole lot. What with the kind of just crazy 2 weeks it's been. But so we'll jump into a word from our sponsor, and then we'll bring on TheHumanFloyd and get to know him and RPHQ and a little bit more about what they're about, and then ask him some questions and see what he's like. See if he can.
Hey, real quick,
what?
I need to say thank you to Strafe. Also
Oh yeah,
for
absolutely.
picking up the slack from me. So he did
that
an
was
awesome
fun.
Job.
He did a really good job.
He did an awesome job. But I wanted to say thank you. So.
Yeah, and we may be having to call on him again for something else soon, for other reasons, but we'll hit that later.
But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Our pinch hitter. So, all right, well, we'll hit a word from our sponsors. Let's be clear in my throat. Ah, greetings. Shadar here for your Khajiit needs. Shadar's all things Khajiit. We have everything the discerning Khajiit might need. Khajiit cannot live on moon sugar alone. No, no, no. That is why Shajdar, whose name I can often pronounce even though it is my own, has all the latest and legalized catnip. We have the cherry pie nip to put a smile on one's face. The white rhino nip for one who likes the catnip to go straight to your head. And the popular cheese nip, a personal favorite. It smells like a strong cheese and will have you rolling like a kid at play in no time. And should you ever feel the need, Shajdar has all the best balls of yarn in any color one could wish. Yes, yes. They are not just for the young, but also for the young at heart. No Khajiit likes a bath, but sometimes one cannot simply do it all alone with one's tongue. Suffering from mange or get something in your fur that is too sticky, we have the best in specialty shampoos for those hard-to-remove spots. Scentless, of course, so that no one knows your shame. Lastly, we have the best of scratch posts. The furniture is no place to keep one's claws sharp, after all. We have the thick hardwood posts now from 4, 6 to 8 feet, and posts have a sturdy base covered in hempen rope for one's back claws, which you should never neglect. With only a slight upcharge, we can get the catnip scented hemp. Let your friends know you are making more coin and are better than them. Come down to Shajadar's All Things Khajiit, because Khajiit has wares if you have the coin. Aw, look at that. Nobody even died in that one. Or was humiliated. Or burned at the stake.
That's a start.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Well done.
Hold on, I gotta catch my breath. Apparently, Khajiit use a lot of lung capacity to speak. Boy, was that really... That's working out. So, alright. Well, that was fun. Kajdar's All Things Khajiit. So, with that done, I think we'll go ahead and go on to our main topic, which, of course, is playing animal races. And with that, we're going to introduce TheHumanFloyd. He's from rphq.com, which is a pretty handy little site for all things kind of role play and like forums and whatnot like that. Let's see here. Oh, I don't have him muted. He's muted himself. But so we got without any further delay, TheHumanFloyd. How you doing, Floyd?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Welcome. Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. I think I need to go visit Kajdar's shop and
Yeah.
browse his wares, so to speak.
That's
Pick up some of
right.
that catnip.
Yeah, that white rhino nip.
That right, Rhino. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated to writing that, I learned a lot about pot. Those were all real names of pot actually sold in various
Yes,
places across
I
the world.
recognized a few.
I thought that would be a fun thing for our 420 friends out there. Blaze it!
Oh, yes.
But so it's good to have you here, Floyd. I really appreciate you. You're the one that reached out to us, and kind of you've actually listened to our shows, which God bless you, man. You're a saint. I mean, those first few episodes were rough.
Painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really I was super stoked to find you guys because you're basically doing exactly what I've always wanted to see out there. So it was like, holy shit, somebody's actually doing this.
Yeah. So what
must
is?
meet them.
Yeah. Go. What? I've been visiting your RPHQ and your various things, but go ahead and go tell us a little bit about what it is you're doing, what you're after with that project.
Yeah, so it's actually rphq.org.
.org. I'm sorry. I always assume
Good
.com.
job.
Wow. All right.
Man,
Show's
there's
over.
impressions and
First
everything.
interview, and whew.
No, yeah, so it's rphq.org, stands for Roleplay Headquarters.
Yeah.
It's essentially we want to provide like resources and networking for role players and DMs. Essentially, this is kind of the site that I always wanted to see out there, and so I just got together with some people and said, "Okay, this doesn't exist, so let's make it happen."
Yeah. Yeah, and I've talked to a few of them on your Discord. They're all real friendly, real friendly.
Henry?
Friendly.
Most of them
When did
I'm
Scooby show up?
I'm still Khajiiti. But yeah, they're all real friendly and real cool.
Yeah, and the Discord is where most of the action happens. We have some old school people like me that still like the forums too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that stuff is good for the networking. We like to try to like get role players together to work on projects or find players. We have a pretty decent sized community list for MMO role players out there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other things that we want to do is have resources like useful articles or how-to guides, videos, stuff like you guys, things that role players can use for all types of role play, not just MMOs, to get more into their hobby, advice on things, tools that DMs can use for this or that. And our resource pages are kind of like under construction right now, but that is something that we are working really hard on. So at some point here, once we get past this like little bump of getting started, it will be a really useful site, essentially like a hub that you start at and then can get to anything roleplay related from.
Yeah, and you've already got, and you're largely too on YouTube is what you do. So far. It looks like you've done a lot of your stuff on.
Yeah, YouTube is kind of our big starting area. We've got a few years worth of videos, lots of Elder Scrolls Online roleplay stuff, but other things too. We have a big Let's Roleplay in Rift series that has been super popular lately. We do some like recorded tabletop roleplay online, guides, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of those things we have. I think coming up with you was it the 13th? I think it was.
Yeah,
13th,
that's gonna be awesome.
We'll have we'll be doing a special ESO roleplay with that's what I was saying. We might have to have Strafe pinch hit again because unfortunately Sib does once again have baseball, so it's just impossible to completely do around. But we've already had to switch that poor time. I think this twice from either from a death in the family and before that it was I don't even remember what the other one was, but we've been trying.
Yeah, and that's the type of thing too. We'll record that ahead of time and then post it on the YouTube channel after I've kind of gone through and edited it. But yeah, that's basically just going to be it kind of relates to what we're talking about tonight, because I will be role playing as a beast race, and you guys will get to interact with my creepy, weird alligator dude.
Yep. Yeah, and I've been looking forward to it, but yeah, we've all got characters there too, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to it for quite some time. It's always fun meeting somebody that up. There's the dogs. But it's always fun meeting somebody, especially when they're cool out of character, so that that anything said in character doesn't get taken personally, which unfortunately does happen sometimes when you're meeting new people. But it's always cool to be able to if an insult is thrown, or if somebody's snobbish, it's all cool.
Totally. That's why I like it's nice to know that you guys are experienced role players, and we kind of have already like that basic communication already established just from the culture.
Yeah. And definitely we think very similarly on a lot of the role play ideas and ideals and the basic rules, I guess you would say, the standard rules that most people accept. But there's always those outliers. It's like, no. Very rarely, but still they're out there.
Yeah, more power to them, but it is nice to kind of have, it's kind of like lore,
Yeah.
If we all know the same lore, then we're already speaking the same language.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so that's rphq.org.
It really, I mean, looking at the site, I wish, when I first started, there was something like this, because it's a lot of information, a lot of helpful information.
Yay, I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, new players need is, because it's intimidating. It is very intimidating to start
Oh,
RPing.
hell yeah.
Yeah, because you're always being judged. We're judging you.
Well,
Us all veterans are
they-
always judging you.
What's funny is you think they are,
Yeah.
but they really aren't.
And most people
No.
are just like, whatever.
And they're super, I mean, most people are super helpful in the RP community. You know, if you reach out and say, hey, I'm new at this, if I do something wrong, please say so. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like, oh yeah, cool. And they'll tell you, hey, you can't do stuff like that, you know,
Yeah.
or oh, that's perfectly fine, you know. It's really nice to
Yeah.
have,
You can't stab my character in the throat. Oh, I didn't know that.
well, it's really nice to realize, you know, that they're actually friendly and you don't have to be scared of them like I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
They just want to see the roleplay community grow. If they've been
Yeah.
around long enough, they know that the more role players means more opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the diversity's a word that's lost a lot of meaning, but in roleplay, the diversity is really, really important because when it
Makes
all
it
starts,
feel more alive.
yeah, but because when it's all homogeneous and everyone's the same and all, it gets stale very quickly when the community shrinks down. So a consistent and large community or a growing community is always better in any MMO over something that's
Yeah.
shrinking and everyone's like, oh yeah, we all think exactly the same and no one wants to hurt each other's feelings ever in character anymore. It's like, oh,
Oh,
so it's
God, I know.
boring.
I just had to deal with that again recently. So
Yeah. So, all right, well, let's go ahead now that we've got the introductions out, and yeah, we're just gonna call you Floyd.
Yes, that works. Especially for the context of
Yeah.
what we're talking about right
Yeah.
now.
I had that thought. The human Floyd is ironic, given that you play a lot of beast races.
It is, and I totally did not notice that when I made the name, and now everybody gives me shit.
So I have to. We're okay. One more side note. Where did the human Floyd come from anyway?
That is a big secret. If anybody figures it out, I have promised to give them $1 million or something. in print.
Or something
Please read the fine print.
or something. All right, Willy Wonka. You didn't read the fine print. Infantatum. Good day, sir. I said good day.
But if you can guess that, email me. And
Oh, there you go. Which you could find at rphq.org.
Which
That's
is
right.
a really cool site, by the way. Now that
Yeah.
I can speak again without the dogs barking.
Thank you. The dogs are just trying to add their
That's
thoughts
right.
on beast races.
Yeah.
Well, no, my mom was bringing my son back from his cursory lawn mowing duties. And I had sent her a tell and said, I sent her a tell.
Send her a tell. Send your mom a tell. Wow, you really do play a lot of MMOs.
Yeah, I really do. Sent her a text message that said, I'm recording, so please either wait till after 8 or like stop halfway down the drive and let him walk so the dogs don't freak out. So what does she do? Pull right up to the front.
Bang on the door, ring the doorbell a couple dozen times. Enter, we're here!
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's
Go,
go.
Mom.
Let's go into we got some questions for Floyd, and one of them will be, other than what we already asked, what's the draw for you and others that played like beast races over, say, the human elf or dwarf, the manish races, I guess? What's the draw for you to play a beast race?
Yeah, that's a pretty big question. I'll keep it as concise as possible. For me personally, I've worked with animals a lot. I worked in a wildlife sanctuary with wolves and a lynx and coyotes and stuff. So, I mean, personally, that's
well,
a
now I
big
hate
draw
you
for
because
me.
your life is already more interesting than mine.
I live in Montana, so I have to fight bears
Oh.
every time I walk out the door.
Yeah, well, I'm even in the mean streets of Oklahoma, so it's gunfights and shivings every day out here. Well,
Different kind of wilderness.
oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, even though that's kind of personal for me, I know that a lot of people who roleplay beast races are really into animals or really into nature, spend a lot of time outside. So that's a pretty common one that you see. A lot of people just play them because they look cool, and and it's like, oh, I want to be a dragon man.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times after they kind of are like, oh, I'm going to play this cool lion person or whatever, they kind of get deeper into it and realize that there's more than just that. I think if I have to narrow it down, there's like two major features about beast races. The first would be tribalism, is pretty common in most beast race lore. And then zoomorphism, for lack of a better word, the animalistic aspect of it. Tribalism, you know, like nature worship, nature magic, close-knit us versus them type of mentality.
That shamanistic kind of mentality. Get close to nature and all that stuff. Yeah.
That's a pretty big draw for a lot of people that are interested in that. Kind of the tribe is more valuable than the self. Pretty much every beast race that I've come across in their lore are based, if not specifically on a certain type of people in real life, they're based on folk traditions in general and like tribal cultures in real life.
Yeah.
And I think that people, some people at least, play them because they kind of want to reconnect to that. They want to, like, you know, see what it's like to live in a tribal culture, or see what it's like, and experiment what it's like to live kind of after you strip away, you know, the modern society type of stuff that we have to deal with. It's kind of like getting back to your roots almost.
Yeah, by a few thousand years. Yeah, you know, now that you say that too, the because knowing what I do of ESO lore, and say like the Makote in Final Fantasy 14, they're the exact same way as the kitty people in EverQuest 2 with the Karens, or ESO with the Khajiit. I never really put that together. They are all actually tribal in nature like that. I've known it, but I've never put that together until you said that. Yeah,
it's one of those things that it kind of is almost in the background a little bit, but once you get a little more into it, you realize, oh, okay, these people are actually, you know, very similar to modern day South American tribes or ancient European tribes, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, like the old Mayan tribes that disappear.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I think also that just the bestial, you know, the uncivilized or barbaric, you know, don't care about the city folks' manners, you know. I think that is a big draw for people too. The beast races a lot of times have maybe simpler emotions, simpler drives. The struggle to survive every day, hunting and eating, all that type of stuff is like a big part of role-playing a beast race.
Tearing into a haunch of meat as opposed to using your knife and fork.
Right, yeah,
which is always fun to see.
Totally.
What? And mouth dripping with, you know, grease and a hunk of meat. What?
And it's so great to have that in, like you said, diversity is like a huge part of role playing, because you can have like an elf like cutting up their little steak next to, you know, an orc just like shoving food into their mouth. Yeah, and it's kind of fun to have
using
that.
fingers as spoons, finger spoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good reasons for me. Yeah, I've never really, like I said, that tribal thing, that's so funny. I've never really even put that together. How often that I guess trope would be the right word, gets used in the bestial races over and over. Even like the Argonians, though, they have the Hist, and they're very shamanistic and in touch with nature. Like they literally touch nature and then talk to it. So
totally,
yeah.
They are the literal tree huggers.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I love you so much, tree. Yes, I love you too.
That is the voice of the Hist.
That's the Hist voice. Hello, it's me, a Histio. I don't know why the Hist is Italian, but hey, go with it. Whatever. You gonna finish that? So, all right. Well, so when you play our beast race, how much like research and whatnot might someone need to do in, say, a game like ESO, where there's, you know, we have the Argonians and the Khajiit, and they have those unusual, you know, as you've been hearing, they've got unusual voice patterns. Like the Khajiit, you know, they use a lot of ones, and you know, they refer to themselves in the third person a lot, and the Argonians is escaping me. You'll probably know the Argonian speech better than me.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff. I think actually, if anybody listening is into Elder Scrolls Online, if you go to tinyurl.com/tamrieltalk, I have an old thread that I threw up a long time ago that is just a collection of all of the weird like colloquialisms and like speech patterns of the various races of ESO.
Oh, that's pretty
And
cool.
Cool.
yeah, it was a big project, and it was early on and when the game came out, and lots of people put input, so it's kind of a big community thing.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, the Argonians and the Khajiit are definitely like the largest lists of all of them because they have all kinds of weird things they say.
Yeah, they do. So maybe you could answer a question I've always wondered. Why is some Argonian names like Squats Over Toilet and another one's like Steve? What's the difference between those?
Okay, so this is relatively complicated because everything about Argonians is relatively complicated, but I'll put it as simply as possible. So essentially what you're seeing, if it's like Squats Over Toilet, his real name to other Argonians is probably something like you know.
Oh, okay.
And that means like the one who squats over the toilet with the red scales on his face, or something really long and weird like that. So they simplify it when they're talking to non-Argonians. They say, okay, instead
You're
of
too
calling
stupid.
right, you're too stupid, your tongue doesn't move like ours does, so you can either call me Squats on Toilet or like ZG, something pretty easy and simple and hyphenated. But their real name, like Argonians have essentially 3 names. They have the really, really long one that you can't pronounce. They have the hyphenated shortened version of that, and then they have like the translation of that.
Okay. I've always wondered that. I've just never bothered to look into it. And then I thought, well, we're going to have you on, so I just asked that randomly. I just forgot to write it down.
Yeah, and that's one of the things like about role-playing at Beast Race is a lot of times their lore is actually really weird and complicated and deep. Most of the time the Beast Races have the most outlandish lore, and they're not necessarily just like gorillas or lizards who happen to walk.
Yeah, well, they got it, and they got to do that because otherwise, obviously we're all humans, so you almost have to do that just so it's so alien that it seems completely different and more animalistic just by its very nature. That way you're not, falling into your own basic, what every single day as a human being. You're not falling into that as an animal. There's short of the crazy people, not a lot of people prefer to themselves as the one or in the third person. David Koresh.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right. They try to make them seem as alien as possible, so that if you do encounter them, it's like, whoa, what is this weird, creature? As far as like if you are a role player that wants to play one of these races that has either unusual voice patterns or like weird lore or something, obviously, and you guys have said this a million times, the best thing you can do is just like play the game, pay attention, listen.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
That might be, I didn't see it in the outline, so
go for
I thought I'd throw it out there. Where would you say is the best place to research? I mean, like, I know I play an orc in ESO, and I did mine on Wikipedia. So would you say Wikipedia, or is there other places they can go to find out about the lore?
Well, specifically for ESO, let's see, what's it called? There's this fantastic resource. It's like an Elder Scrolls wiki, but it's like kind of a lore wiki. What is it called?
There's the Imperial Library, and then there's the unofficial Elder Scrolls page.
Yeah, that's it. uesp.net. That one is fantastic because they have information from all the quests and information. The Imperial Library is like just the books.
Yeah.
But UESP has the books as well as the quest information.
Yeah. I was given those. I told the Imperial Library is kind of a good beginner's thing. It might help you navigate it quicker. But if you really want in depth, the UESP is definitely, They got everything. And it's not just for ESO, it's for everything Elder Scrolls. So that's technically 6 games. I mean, if you count ESO as their 6th game, which I kind of would, that's a lot of lore in one place.
Okay. No, I just thought that would be a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just doing the quests for those people too, like going to orc areas and doing
Yeah.
orc quests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learned a lot doing through Morrowind for Dark Elves, and then of course now Morrowind is. Sorry, I've got the hiccups all of a sudden. I'm not pausing to take a breath. I'm so out of wind sitting down. But I'm a real gamer.
He's been on auto run for 10 minutes.
That's right. Even my character running wears me out. Yeah. But yeah, so it takes a good deal of research to really start to start if you want to, at least get your voice patterns. I mean, anybody can shoot off the cuff, and of course the great thing about roleplay is if you start playing as, say, a beast race and you realize, like, 5 days in, a week in, a month in, you're like, oh, well, I didn't know about that. You can nudge and adjust accordingly. It's not, just because what came before is there already. It's not always set in stone, especially when you learn something that maybe you were doing that broke lore, but, especially serious lore, and you're like, oh, I'll just kind of fix it so maybe it was already like that all the whole time. It's not that.
Right.
It's the great part about playing make-believe.
Also, one cool thing that you can do in that situation is a lot of these beast races get civilized. They end up living in cities and they start acting like the humans around them. And that's
The way
totally
it
natural
should
too.
be. Human power! Human power!
Human power.
As the HumanFloyd, he should know. But yeah, that's definitely that's one of those things. Especially one of the things I always love when engaging with a beast race is when they actually are really good at that unusual voice pattern. Instead of just talking like basically any elf or human would, that they do the refer to themselves in the third person, all those weird little eccentricities. I always know that's probably someone that's put a good deal of research into their character and a lot of thought into it too. And I always enjoy that kind of stuff too. So let's see here. We got favorite type of race. So having played them as you have, what's your favorite race to play, and what game would probably your favorite of all time when it comes to beast races?
Oh man, that's really hard. I mean, I really like trolls from Warcraft because they're nasty.
You would get along with Strafe just fine.
I like the kind of the punk rock, like, Jamaican thing that they've got going on.
Yeah, man.
I like them all. They're so good. Like, I played a Klingon in forum roleplay for a long time. They're really fun.
Yeah.
Primal and honor bound. Just in general, I like to play characters that gross people out. I like to bother elves. Like some kind of nasty weird thing.
Yep, Strayface's gonna love it.
Yeah.
I can already tell I'm gonna get along with this person.
Yeah, he was the pinch hitter last 2 weeks ago. So
nice.
Yeah. He had a Gormal was his troll in EverQuest 2, and yeah, he was absolutely vile. Not in any like specific like mean evil way, just in the grossness of him was just vile.
Oh, it was fun. It was
fantastic. So much fun. So was there ever a game specific, like one game, one race that you loved like above all others?
Oh man.
Gun to your head. You have to pick one.
Gun to my head, I guess I would say Elder Scrolls Online. I have a lot of nostalgia for WoW, but ESO, I had some really, really great times early on. There was a giant Ashlander war in Morrowind that I was involved in. We had a big Skyrim war with the Reachmen. And then I had this like giant Argonian plotline in Black Marsh. I really, really like playing Argonians. I think I'll go with that gun to my head.
Yeah. I actually have heard about funny enough, I've heard of the Ashlander War even in roleplay, even still I don't know how long ago that was, but I've still.
That was like 3 years ago.
It's still brought up with the Dunmer Guild I'm in. They still bring it up and talk about it. In fact,
they were super involved in it. I actually ran it with them.
Yeah, and I think they're in the process of maybe doing another one very similar to that, because there's apparently there's an Ashlander Guild that has popped up that is super cool, and they've been kind of doing. We've had a few skirmishes with them, so it's possible that the Ashlander Ward 2 Electric Boogaloo will be out before you know it. All right, so we've done. Let's see. Okay, so we did your favorite thing. What is there like a specific story or like memorable most RP moment that you had as a beast race? I guess that Ashlander War would probably be among them, but is there something more specific or personal maybe?
So when I was doing the Argonian tribal guild that I ran, we had some visitors over, and I think they were Dunmer, and they were kind of like, oh, let's go meet the primitive tribe folk. And they all like come into the hut and are fed like worms and like rotting mushrooms and stuff, and
it's like that scene out of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom where they're eating that village's like gray gunk.
Totally, and that's so
awesome.
fun to roleplay.
That's so cool.
And one of the tribe members came in, and my character was kind of like the tribe shaman, and his apprentice came in and had a cat, like a house cat, and was like, "Here, Utekja, I brought you this house cat." And Utekja was like, "Oh yes, thank you." And he like sets it down, and everybody kind of like goes outside to smoke or whatever, I don't know. And they come back in later, and they see my character just like laying down on the ground, the like dirt of the hut, with his head, like his neck stretched out, and there's just like the back half of a cat sticking out of his mouth.
Oh man!
Totally swallowing it alive.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Yeah. I can make a Korean restaurant joke here, but we'll skip past that.
I had some really memorable Tauren roleplay too. All kinds like honoring the ancestors type stuff.
Well, those were the Minotaur people from WoW, right?
Yep. They're the cow folk. The
cow folk. Yeah, see, that's one giant gap in our knowledge base, unfortunately, is World of Warcraft, because we were all, Jazz and I especially, were always EverQuest or in EverQuest 2, so we never really got into the World of Warcraft. Never had anything against it. World of Warcraft people, we love you. But
I did try to play it.
Yeah, it just never hooked me over. It wasn't enough to pull me away from a franchise I was already deeply invested in, unfortunately for me. But yeah, that's a gap in our knowledge base. I know I thought that was the Tauren, but I know there's also that Necro undead race, which that would be a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some other time I can tell you guys all about the old school WoW roleplay scene, because I was really involved in like the first 3 expansions. So
yeah, that would be super cool, because I've always I like roleplay communities just across the board, and getting to the history of them, and there's just so much when you're not there that you'll just never be a part of, and you'll probably never even hear about.
Right.
But it's always cool to hear it from the old-time veterans as we sit around the coffee table talking about days of yore.
Back in my day, this zone was all underwater.
That's right. Back in going through Kithcore back in the day, all you could do was hug the zone wall if it was nighttime. I don't know, you youngsters don't know how good you have it.
You kids don't know what Baron's chat really is.
Yeah, which is funny that I've heard of that. Even not playing that, I've heard of it. But, all right, so we got one question here now, and it's something we have to get into. Have you now, or were you ever a furry? No, I'm kidding. Hides my Sonic the Hedgehog porn.
I'm saying it, no.
But all right, so we got to hit it up on the furries, because we know I've definitely role played with a few people that probably were playing it because they also like the furry community, and I'm not judging you. You're just a bunch of freaky weirdos. But how much of that do you think kind of mixes over into RPing a beast race and MMOs as well? Just that they, obviously furry conventions might be someplace they can do their hobby at, but in an online game, they can pretty much do it all the time, which, if that's their outlet, like I said, more power to them. But you think think there's a good community that does that as well?
Yeah, I mean, we've got furries, scalies, greenies, featheries.
Okay, what's greenies? I don't know that one.
That would be like orc troll type. Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, people that just love to Hulk out everywhere. We have a Hulk. I'm a god.
Probably not far off.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely around. They're actually probably a fairly significant portion of the beast race, roleplay community. I don't care what you do, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult because there are people that want to get more into like the deep lore or like the tribalism aspect or the shamanic aspect, and they discover that a lot of the people around them are just there to get their fuzzy little rocks off.
Yeah, they're just there. They're just there for the furry ERP. We've met a few like that.
Yeah,
a few.
It's too bad you can't neuter those people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bob Barker, is that? I knew it. Yeah, she had to mute herself because she's just laughing. Oh, and Jazz is dying. Way to go, Floyd! You killed half the crew.
I'm actually an assassin, and I'm going to murder all of you.
That's right.
That's the way to do it.
Which is RP assassins go. What you just said is exactly how most RP assassins are. I'm an assassin. I'm here to kill you. Well, shouldn't you tell me that after I'm dead?
I'm an assassin. Yeah.
Isn't there like some sort of Assassin's Creed about maybe not saying stuff about that? But yeah, I'm Bob Barker. Have your furries spayed or neutered.
But it's kind of funny though because a lot of times I've actually had people join my guilds in the past that were furries and came in and started role-playing and getting involved and realized that actually they're really interested in a lot of the beast race aspects that don't involve herb and find themselves, getting a little bit more out of it. So I've never been anti-furry by any means or scaly or whatever.
No, they're just me neither. Like you said, it's like most sexuality. I honestly just don't care as long as you don't force it down my throat and make me watch it.
Literally force it down my
throat. That's
right.
Yeah.
There's an image.
Yeah, right. So, lizard races. Does it really go up into your abdomen? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
Just let's not start talking about kids' dicks.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
This is not our fault.
Who was that in EQ2?
We actually had. I can't.
Jazzeth.
I can't even make that joke up. That was somebody that played in Ixar, which is the lizard race in EverQuest. They were actually. That was a serious conversation they had. I hope.
Yes.
At least I think it was pretty serious. Like, pretty sure it just descends into your abdomen when you're not using it. It's like, sweet Mary, Mother of God. That's just awful to think about.
Yes, the cloaca is a frequent topic of discussion in my Argonian guild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one very fun evening in the Silver Circle when we got into, it started off as an argument and ended up just being funny, at least for those of us that had a sense of humor, because it descended into this long, detailed, probably more than anyone wanted to know. I think Xana's just logged off.
/mute guild.
He sent me some kind of tell to the light of, really? Seriously? Because I was not helping. Because I know a lot about lizard anatomy and anatomy in general and animals.
What was that you were saying about scalies, Floyd?
Yeah. I find lizards very interesting, and I always have. And so when I was a kid, I studied them. So then when they start saying stuff that is like completely off the wall, I'm like, no, that's not actually how it works. Let me explain. And I started, and Ashen's like, sweet Mother of God.
Pixar, please.
Yeah. Oh.
Jazz our friendly lizard Athorian.
Yeah.
So would their tails grow back if they lost them too? And a Argonian named Stubby.
It's a defense mechanism, okay?
That's right. Don't pull on it, it'll fall off. That's what she said.
Don't worry, it'll grow back. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Frequently loses tail.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole new meaning on, this is bad.
What's that, Lorena Bob? It'll grow back. Okay.
Oh my god.
I think we had a character named Two Tails.
Oh, God.
What was that, Austin Powers? It looks like a bloody tripod.
Okay.
I think she's going to have a coronary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I think I've said it before on the show, that's how I actually plan on killing my wife, is through laughter. That way they can't trace it back to me. It's not an effective murder weapon. It takes time, but I'm working on it. All right, so got the furry question out of the way. So we've only got a few more here before we wrap it up. And because I've actually had some pretty awesome. I love role play fighting. The either through /random or just if it's someone you trust, just doing back and forth. Oh crap! Was it Draxith we just talked about that was doing the abdomen thing?
Yeah,
Drazith.
Drazith?
Drazith.
Yeah, Drazith.
Him and I actually had really awesome combat fights because my character was a monk and so was his, and in our fights he would utilize his tail as a weapon. So, you ever do a lot of role play fighting as one of the animal races when you play them?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that's really fun to do. Claws, tails, bite attacks, the kind of stuff that you can't really do as a non-beast race.
Yeah, as an elf, I'm gonna bite you. It's gonna give you such a pinch. Yeah.
Oops, I left a hickey.
Right. Now Zoidberg's the winner. But yeah, so how when you're doing the roleplay fighting, obviously, like a human fighting a gorilla, there's a slight strength difference. But when it comes to strength, dex, or stamina, claws, tail mechanics, what kind of bonuses, and how do you balance those out? Because obviously you can't overpower a character because you get into god modding territory. But there is a certain amount of extra strength and versatility you get with a beast race over an elf or something like that. So how do you kind of balance that out in your experience?
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one because obviously, with MMOs we kind of have this like consensual, okay, nobody is like too much more powerful than anybody else unless they have some kind of weakness. And I do know a lot of beast race role players that think like, oh, I'm a beast race, obviously I'm stronger, faster,
Vampires.
Right, yeah. Well, it's funny because like almost everybody you meet, for some reason they think, oh, well, I'm an elf, so I live longer, so I'm better at everything.
And I can walk on top of snow because Legolas did it.
Right. So, you've always got people that take it a little too far. The way that I tend to do it is, if a beast race is fighting a non-beast race, like totally naked, I think it's generally, people would say, okay, the beast race is probably going to win. But when you think about it, claws and like a thick hide does not compare to crafted armor and weapons. So if you get like a fully armored Argonian fighting a fully armored elf, they're essentially on the same playing field.
Yeah, especially when you bring blades and whatnot, or in ESO's case, magic probably is the ultimate in player leveling.
Right. Yeah. So it's one of those things you kind of have to realize if you are playing a beast race, like that doesn't mean that you're gonna be better at everything.
It's not the win.
A lot
button.
of thing that. Right, yeah, there is no win button. If you have a strength, you should have a weakness to balance it out. Pretty basic stuff. It still applies to a beast race.
Now see, you say that, and you mean it so diligently, so truthfully, but the whole, if you have a positive, you need a negative. It has to be beaten into so many people.
Yeah,
This is the cynic guild leader here who did this for 10 years, and I finally gave up.
Yeah,
But-
you could see Jazz right now pulling a stogie out of her mouth. Yeah, you know, I've seen it all in my day. You say one thing, but we're gonna have to beat it into these raw recruits over here.
Yeah, I mean-
seriously, it feels like that sometimes.
It does. It totally does. And it's one of those things that either people play long enough that they learn that over time. Either one of the rare people that gets it right away, or they just never get it, and you're not going to teach it to them. So, I don't think it's something worth trying too hard to beat into people because they're either going to get it eventually or they're not.
Yep,
Yeah. All right.
that is very accurate.
So we'll have one last question here. And this is kind of a sum of everything. If you're not convinced now, to at least give a beast race a try. What is the most compelling reason someone should at least give a shot at role playing as a beast race at least once if they never have before?
Well, I know for a lot of experienced role players like you guys that haven't played too many beast races, it'll definitely be a change of pace for you. It's a completely different way to role play. I use animals for inspiration a lot for like my character expressions. I like to have characters, especially Argonians, like lick their eyeballs. Weird shit like that.
Garmal would do that, remember? And he'd pick maggots out of his nose and eat them.
Totally,
Yeah.
yeah. That stuff is like way too fun to roleplay. Like you cannot be
Bleh. Yeah, like pick a fly out of the air and munch on it. Yeah,
or just like be walking like a Tauren, just be walking and just have like a giant glob of shit just come out while you're walking and just like think nothing of it, you know. That type of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely a compelling reason to roleplay. You can shit wherever you want.
You can roast
who
people
doesn't
out.
wanna?
Right.
But also, I mean, on a more serious note, like, if I can,
The shitting and the eyeball licking. I mean, I'm already sold, but yeah, definitely keep going for anyone that's not sold yet.
if licking your shit and shitting out your eyeball doesn't compel you,
Oh my goodness. Been fun.
I
And
think
informative.
don't like a lot of the beast races have some battle positives that people find compelling to play them.
Sure, yeah. You know, like you said, the tail thing. Like there's all kinds of stuff you can do to solve problems in different ways as a beast race than you might as a man or an elf or a humanoid. For me personally, the biggest draw of playing a beast race is that I can kind of like get into a simpler mindset and kind of like tear all the bullshit away.
Not all the conniving and scheming that say a human,
Right.
or, an elven, or especially a Dunmer dark elf race. Typically, they're trying to be 3 steps ahead of them. You play a beast race, and you're like, well, what's for dinner?
Totally.
The
And,
end.
and that's fun to play too. I love the intrigue stuff. I really do. And I love playing intelligent characters. I played a Vulcan for a while on STO. But something about just playing a character that kind of represents those core drives. They may be alien to us in a lot of their mannerisms and stuff, but essentially beast races are what we as humans have been for the vast majority of the time that we have existed. It's only recently that in real life we've become something comparable to Dunmer or Night Elf or something like that. Traditionally, we've been closer to beast races, and it's kind of nice to get to explore that and, dare I say, kind of connect with your ancestors a little bit.
Yeah,
that's a good
and
point.
one thing they're always fun to as well is a spoiler. They're great. Playing a beast race is also a great spoiler in that all those civilized and well-rounded races all about you. They're friends with this basic. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that show from the Sci-Fi Network called Eureka, which was basically a town full of absolute geniuses. I mean, multi-dimensional devices, this and that. And they had a sheriff that was just a dude. He was just literally just a sheriff. He was not smart. I mean, he was smart, but he wasn't genius smart. He didn't know what was going on.
He had common sense.
But he had what they didn't, and that was common sense in a simplistic way of looking at it. And they would have these absolute horrible things happen, and he'd be like, well, why don't we just do this? And then they'd all look at him like, that just simple enough that it might work. You know, they're playing a beast race is exact like that. It's just like that. There are great spoilers to the you know, the schemes and the backbiting and all these complex things, and they can come in and make it a little, bring a little levity to it sometimes, and also bring maybe a little simplistic view to something that shouldn't be as complex as maybe they've made it.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that I had a lot of fun role-playing in Elder Scrolls Online with is the Dunmer groups would come over and try to be like conniving and plotting, and none of their plots would work because our characters were just like, okay, I'm gonna go like pull some radishes out of the garden now, bro. And you know, it was really, really fun to like know out of character, like, oh shit, they're trying to get one up on us. And for it to not work just because our characters are just so like straightforward.
Yeah. The old pulling the radishes out of the ground routine. Been foiled by it a million times. But no, that's all actually pretty good, pretty solid information. Especially like I said, we've other than Jazz, have you ever played as a beast race? I can't remember. I think I asked you earlier, but
I tried playing Froglock.
Oh my god!
I love Froglock.
I really enjoyed the Froglocks, particularly because I am mean and evil, and I'm a tease by nature. The long tongue thing was so much fun because I could torture furries. Because I'm a bad person. Anyway, I couldn't get past the hopping thing when I was doing battle. I barely managed to handle being a fae without losing my mind. And the only way that I leveled her was because I had a Shadow Knight that was a human, and she followed him, and I basically power leveled. They leveled together, but I only had to look at her when I tabbed over to check quests.
Yeah. Okay. So bringing up Froglock, I have to bring up the one character that is better than any other Froglock or any beast race ever, and that is Professor Redeep.
Yes, he was awesome.
I don't know.
Born in eggs.
I don't know who this guy was. He had to have been off the charts brilliant, honest, in real life. He never broke character. I don't think I ever had a single conversation with him out of character except when I returned to EverQuest 2 and he said, "Hey, it's good to have you back. Good to be back. All right, I'll see you later." But what his character's whole premise was is that he was a Froglock, and he obviously, in his mind's eye, it was super easy to tell females and males, right, from Froglocks. Now the trick got into other races, because clearly it was nearly impossible to tell the sex of any race that wasn't a Froglock, because they had different vestigial tails, which, as he referred to them, was hair. He often would ask my monk Dark Elf when his mating season was coming about and if he was prepared to lay eggs, and that why his that he could tell that his mating season was coming because his mucus glands seemed to be getting ready to over secrete. This guy was, I mean, just the stuff that he would come up with off the top of his head was absolutely brilliant, and he was just so much fun. But just the fact he actually wrote several in-game in EverQuest 2, you can actually write in books up to I think the limit was 5 documented pages. Yeah. And he actually wrote books as the character defining how it was that you would be able to tell the sex of like different humanoid races. It had nothing to do with it, and it completely skipped the boobs and genitals. That had nothing to do with it. That was just vestigial organs. They had absolutely no purpose whatsoever as far as he was concerned. It was just a brilliant guy. So I got to give Redeep a shout out if he's ever out there listening.
That's a perfect example of how to just have a lot of fun playing a beast race. You can just be weird.
Just a total different mindset. You don't have to think like a person. And honestly, it's, like me. I can't tell. I look at a lizard or a snake. I don't know which sex is which. So why would they be able to do any different. So yeah, gotta give that shout out.
He was fabulous.
He was a lot of fun,
and he loved to torture my dark elf.
Yeah, my Xanis as well. Xanis was actually a diagram in one of his books as showing exactly why my character was a female.
Yeah,
who he was not. But
he said that her braid was a mark of her masculinity.
Yep.
And she would just fall over laughing. She was just like, I really ought to put a stick in you and cook you, but you are too much fun.
Yeah. He was a lot of fun. So I think that about wraps up our show. I gotta say, Floyd, it's been a lot of fun having you on here.
It has.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm completely stoked about your show, guys, and really honored that you had me on. And I'll do anything I can to help you guys out. We'll definitely be promoting you on RPHQ too.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, and we'll definitely have to have you back to talk about that other thing you said you would talk. Oh, wow. It's like, what was that one thing? I know there was something. World of Warcraft. That I don't know for anybody that haven't ever heard of World of Warcraft.
It's pretty obscure. I don't know if you've heard of Azeroth.
It's a pretty big game in Asia, I think. I don't know. Actually, I have no idea if it is. It's probably, compared to some of the Asian MMOs, they're probably like, wow.
Oh, no, it's a big deal in China.
Yeah. Well, if the Chinese love it. No, it's, and more power to them, It is nice to see some of the MMOs stop trying to, at least coming out in the next 2 or 3 years, stop trying to emulate what World of Warcraft did, because World of Warcraft already did it. You don't need to emulate it. If you want to beat World of Warcraft, don't be World of Warcraft. Be something new.
The original.
That
the
really,
original.
You'd think that would make sense, right? I mean,
no, we need to make it more like WoW.
Tor didn't get the message.
Yeah, it's just like, what?
There's only room for Coke and Pepsi. Get out of here, RC Cola. But so I appreciate you coming on, Floyd. And like I said, it's rphq.org. So yes,
you have to do that.
Yes, I do, because I completely fucked it up the first entire half of the thing. So I've got to do that every time now.
And I'm looking forward to role-playing with you guys for my Let's Roleplay an ESO show.
Yeah, and you'll be able to, if you go to YouTube and just in the search comments, RPHQ obviously will bring it right up. Of course, if you go to the website, you'll be able to, I think there's a link to several of the videos. Obviously, you just click on it and it'll whisk you right there, or start playing it right in their website, because their website's way better than ours. And we both use Squarespace. He's just got a lot more patience than I do.
Yeah, the Squarespace site, it's oh wow. Squarespace is a fun site to make a site with. And,
yes.
I did my graduation site there, went for my design degree, and I loved them. So.
Yep. All right, so we'll go ahead, wrap it up. Really appreciate the TheHumanFloyd for being on here, and of course rphq.org. So go ahead and start let's see, click on this thing like a professional would, already having the outro music on while they're doing all this stuff. You can always visit us at facebook.com/rpmmo radio, or at Twitter at rpmmo radio. Obviously, you can download our podcast after the fact at things like Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, various things like that. Always catch us anytime you want. Listen to past episodes, just as TheHumanFloyd did. Be more like Floyd. That's going to be our new saying. And then all we need you to do is tune in next time, and we'll talk about why halflings aren't a beast race, but are probably all furries anyway. Next time on RP MMO Radio. Have a good night, everybody.
Later.
Bye.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by RP MMO Radio are just that. Good conversation as well. But pretty close to it. Music provided by Husky Buddy. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyBuddy for all his great rock covers. Well, because that didn't play loud enough, I'm going to say it again. Visit Husky by the Geek at youtube.com/Husky by the Geek. He's the Husky by the Geek. He's the guy that's done all the intro and outro music for us. He's absolutely fantastic, giving us permission to use it. And everybody, have a great night.